Remarkable and unprecedented escalation. The president bypassing the governor to call up the National Guard. Now, Trump has long showed a willingness and even eagerness to use armed forces to try and shut down protests. And in this instance, he's using it to highlight an issue that is central to his agenda and taking on a political rival in a blue state, going after Governor Newsom, who again did not ask for this, says he does not want this. Newsom says Trump is seeking a, quote, spectacle to further his own political goals, calling it, as you mentioned, a, quote, manufactured crisis. Now, right now, Trump is relying on an unorthodox use of a law aimed at quelling rebellion. These troops, as of now, cannot be directly involved and assist with law enforcement unless the president invokes the Insurrection Act. That is something he has stopped short of doing, but overnight he did label the demonstrators insurrectionists. Now, Trump has made clear he is willing to escalate this response even further, raising that possibility of sending in active duty Marines, which Newsom has said would be, quote, deranged. The administration is also suggesting they may arrest public officials who interfere with immigration enforcement activities. And George, there are signs Trump is prepared to send troops into other cities to try and quell protests if he feels it's necessary.
And Mary, on another front, the Salvadoran man who was mistakenly sent to El Salvador has been returned to the United States.
Yeah, George, Kilmar Abrego Garcia is now back in U.S. soil. He's been charged in a federal criminal indictment for alleged human trafficking of undocumented migrants. For weeks, of course, despite an order from the Supreme Court to facilitate his return, the Trump administration argued their hands were tied. The president now says it wasn't his decision to bring him back, but he has said that this is a, quote, very easy case. George.
We saw so much of that unfold, Michael, and this is what the civic area in downtown Los Angeles looks like. These are the skeletons of Waymo self-driving electric vehicles. You can see there's a series of about 5 of them here just beyond. That's what the rest of this downtown area in L.A. looks like. A maze of police checkpoints just over my right shoulder. That's the 101 freeway. It was blocked on both sides by hundreds of protesters, and those clashes just ending a short time ago early this morning. Overnight, chaos erupting in the streets of Los Angeles as protesters and police clashed. Tensions escalating Sunday as thousands of protesters took to the streets in response to President Donald Trump's extraordinary deployment of the California National Guard. Governor Gavin Newsom saying it was assistance he didn't ask for.
We're here to support local law enforcement. There's a mutual aid process. Local law enforcement had no needs. They were not requesting any additional resources, but they didn't need that support. He made this up. This is a manufactured crisis.
Multiple vehicles set on fire, covered in graffiti condemning ICE. An electric scooter thrown from an overpass, damaging a highway patrol vehicle, which was then set on fire. Many hundreds descending on the 101 freeway, blocking traffic in both directions. CHP, California Highway Patrol, deployed smoke. They're moving in, trying to push these protesters out. You can see some projectiles. Detaining someone there. The LAPD mobilizing resources and LA's mayor pleading for calm.
Our city does not need to be torn apart.
Earlier Sunday, demonstrators swarming LA's federal building, hundreds of LAPD officers responding. And in the ensuing clashes, the LAPD says multiple officers were injured when 2 people on motorcycles tried to crash through that police line. We were right there as it happened. Just moments ago, there's some projectiles being thrown. Just moments ago, a motorcycle seemed to try to break through the police skirmish line. And now you can hear all those flashbangs going off. Police are trying to push those protesters back, firing those less than lethals at very close range. And you can see those projectiles being thrown over. Now that motorcyclist being hauled in here, looks like he's being arrested. Police deploying flashbangs. The streets littered with debris and broken glass. At this point, more than 25 demonstrators arrested after failing to disperse. The escalation began Friday when federal immigration authorities began a series of sweeps in greater Los Angeles, arresting more than 100 people. The demonstrations now entering day 4. Hundreds of National Guard troops were deployed on the streets of LA over the weekend. President Trump bypassing California's governor, ordering up to 2,000 guardsmen to deploy across Southern California. On Saturday in Paramount, just south of Los Angeles, thick black smoke filling the sky after cars were set on fire. The anger coming after reports of an immigration raid on the community, but Paramount Mayor Peggy Lemon saying there was not a raid. The agents were there staging. And in a rare scene Saturday afternoon, a Black Hawk helicopter landing in the parking lot of a Homeland Security office, agents unloading supplies for federal law enforcement. California Governor Gavin Newsom calling on the Trump administration to revoke the order to deploy the California National Guard, saying it only makes matters worse. A memo signed by all the Democratic governors says the activation of guardsmen in their own borders without consulting or working with the state's governor is ineffective and dangerous. But President Trump now saying even active duty Marines could be deployed as 500 remain on standby.
What is the bar for sending Marines to
the bar is what I think it is. I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order.
So how rare is it for a president to bypass the governor and deploy National Guards in that governor's state? Well, it hasn't been invoked since 1965. That's over 60 years. And Newsom saying that he did speak to President Trump on Friday night. The president did not mention, according to Newsom, that he was going to deploy the California National Guard. And now Gavin Newsom calling President Trump a stone-cold liar and saying that this morning he's going to file a lawsuit against the Trump administration for acts that he called immoral and unconstitutional, George.
And Matt, and President Johnson in 1965, when he did that, was actually moving in National Guard troops to protect civil rights protesters.